Hello and welcome to the first episode of FilmmakeHER, the show where I sit down with outstanding women in media production and discuss their journeys. I'm your host, Ashley Jones, a television production student with a passion for learning the ins and outs of the industry. Our guest today is Shasta O'Neal. She's an administrative specialist with Murray State University's Digital Media Services in Murray, Kentucky. In this episode, she will share with us her journey to the position she has today, what her career entails, and the advice she has for aspiring women who want to get more involved in the media production industry. Enough with the chit-chat. Let's get started. Shasta never thought her dream job would be in the media production industry. Attending Callaway County High School is where Shasta discovered her passion for media production.
Just getting to play around with the video cameras and go out and shoot something and then take that story and bring it back and put it together and to make something, and to create something that was visually fun and awesome to look at.
After graduating high school, Shasta had several jobs. She worked alongside her dad at Bill's Upholstery during the day, and then ran the teleprompter at the lower-powered TV station, WQTV, for the 6 and 10 p.m. newscasts. WQTV was donated to Murray State, and Shasta became part of that donation. After KFVS 12 took over the station, Digital Media Services was formed, and Shasta went to work for Murray State, a job she still finds enjoyable after 23 years.
When you wake up in the morning, you're not always going to be sitting at a desk. You're not always going to be doing the same thing. You're going to grab that video camera and you're going to go out and you're going to experience different things. Like one day I might be in the engineering building shooting some cool robot, or the next day I might be out in the field shooting agriculture or livestock. You just never know what you're going to be shooting, and you get to go out and see and do and create this awesome video and then bring it back and then tell the story of the university.
While the good parts of the job outweigh the bad, there are still aspects of her job that Shasta finds challenging.
My least favorite part about being in the media production field is that the equipment is really heavy. I'm a little person and I have to carry a video camera and then lights, and then you need a boom, and so there's so much equipment that goes along with creating this perfect story that you need, and it gets heavy. Let me tell you, at the end of the day, your back hurts, your legs hurt, but you know what? It was so much fun going out and doing that sometimes you just don't think about your aches and pains. You just want to go in and start editing that story and putting it together.
She has made many mistakes along her journey, like when she aired the wrong traffic report at the wrong time.
I got called in to the office and they're like, hey, there was a mistake made. And I'm like, yes, I made that mistake. And having to admit that I had aired something at the wrong time was very nerve-wracking because it cost money. It made the station lose money. You know, it dwindles down the line. The person that bought the time was angry, so it was very hard to admit my mistake, but I did it. And you know what? It earned respect with my boss because I didn't blame it on anybody else. I, admitted my mistake.
Mistakes are just a part of life. I make them, you make them, and Shasta makes them. But she has advice for you regardless of what industry you're in.
We're all going to make mistakes. We're human. But the one thing I've learned is to just slow down, take your time, double check yourself. I think just double checking yourself is important, and making sure that what you're putting out in the end is what's supposed to be there. So I think just making sure that at the end of the day, the product that you put out is good. So just slow down, take your time, make sure it's right.
Shasta goes on to tell about her experience with trying many different aspects of media production, and how she found that being behind the camera was the right thing for her. She tried being in front of the camera, but found out immediately that it made her feel terrible. This showed her the importance of trying new things and learning every little thing you can.
Be in front of the camera, run the teleprompter, run camera, do it all, and then find what you're best at. If you don't know until you try. If you don't go out and try, then you'll never know. Like for me, I fell in love being behind the camera, hitting that record button, getting that beautiful shot, telling the story instead of being in front of the camera.
Receiving help is sometimes a daunting task, but is an important part of learning your industry and how to do everything properly. Letting others come into your world in a brief moment when asking for help allows them to step into your shoes and open their eyes to what all goes into the work you do.
I've had people come up to me and say, hey, can I help you? And I'm like, absolutely, please take this tripod. And it is so funny to see people's faces when they take that tripod or that light kit and they see how heavy it actually is and that you were carrying it with no problem whatsoever. I think it really opens their eyes to what goes into being in the media production field, that, we're women and we're working hard and we're going to get the job done. It doesn't matter, what we have to do. We're here to create a good story.
Receiving and learning how to take constructive criticism in a professional setting may also be difficult. Taking constructive criticism and building on it is a good quality to develop in this industry. Shasta has had many people provide her help along the way and show her the ins and outs of her industry. However, this does not mean she always agreed with doing something their way. But as hard as it is to admit, that person is usually right. Listening to that person provides more help than you may think.
I think it helps you become a better person, because when you're out on the field and you're shooting and you're editing, sometimes you need another eye looking at it from a different angle that helps you really bring in that story. And it's kind of hard when somebody tells you that, but I mean, just sit there and listen to them. And you know what? It makes you a better person in the end. Even if their advice is terrible, it still makes you a better person in the end.
Being a woman in this industry may sound difficult for some, but Shasta has a different perspective on the matter.
I think being a woman in media production is not as hard as people think it would be. I think like carrying the equipment and things like that, you just get used to it. You start building muscles, and it becomes okay. I think it takes a willing attitude, and you have to be ready to go to the next shoot and whatever it entails. As a woman in the media production field, I think that people like to look at you differently, but we're not. We're the same. You just got to know your equipment, know your software, have that attitude that you're ready to go out there and get that story covered. And no matter what the next shoot is, just have the I'll do it attitude. And that good attitude, I think, will carry you a long ways. If you're always going into production with a bad attitude, or, a Debbie Downer attitude, nobody's going to want to hang out with you or be around you. And in your production, your end product is going to show that attitude.
Shasta left me with some closing thoughts and a takeaway for women who want to pursue a career in media production. The best advice Shasta gives is just going out there and learning everything you can and continuing to try. She turned every opportunity into a learning experience. This provided her with a sense of growth in this industry, an understanding of her skill sets, and knowing how to take her job seriously.
I started off as a little old teleprompter girl that sat in the corner at the 6 and 10 newscast at WQTV on Do Good Road. And I took my lunch break and my 30-minute breaks during the day, and I went into master control and I learned how to do master control. And then when I learned that, I went over to the news station and I learned how to set up a newscast. And then from there, I would go into master control and I would learn how to run master control. And after I accomplished that, then I would go over to the news department and I would learn how to stack a newscast. And then from there, I went up front and I learned how to do traffic for the TV station. So I believe that I still have a job today because I took it seriously. I used every moment to learn everything I could, and I turned an opportunity into a learning experience.
Thanks for listening to Filmmaker. We hope you enjoyed my discussion with Shasta O'Neal and learning her perspective of the media production industry. Join us next week for when I talk with Angie Gregory, a Murray State University alumni who went out to follow her big dreams in LA and made a name for herself. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. That is all for this episode of Filmmaker. See you next time.